This is photosynthesis, presented by a vehicle, an animal, and a shiv. This one's for you, Moobaby. This is the chloroplast. The chloroplast is a plant organelle where photosynthesis happens. The stroma of the chloroplast is a cytoplasm-like fluid where the Calvin cycle occurs. The thylakoid membrane is where the light-dependent reactions occur, and stacks of thylakoid are called granule. This is the photosynthesis equation, and the water right here is broken up and oxygen is released. CO2 is also used to make glucose, along with other molecules in the Calvin cycle. And this is the endosymbiosis theory. And basically, the endosymbiosis theory involves a large bacteria, which was a eukaryote, and small prokaryotes, which were chloroplasts or even mitochondria. And these chloroplasts were engulfed into large bacteria. And what these were, and these chloroplasts now are incorporated into the bacteria as we see them, such as chloroplasts and mitochondria, which you can see in eukaryotes today. And basically, some evidences of this endosymbiotic theory occurring is that each chloroplast has its own DNA, and also these DNA are circular. This means, and bacteria have circular DNA. So this means that these chloroplasts or mitochondria used to be their own prokaryotes. Also, chloroplasts and mitochondria both have inner membranes, which means that they're double membrane with an outside and an inner one. And this also provides evidence for the endosymbiotic theory. To the light-dependent reaction. First, photons from sunlight hit photosystem 2. Within photosystem 2, there is a P680 chlorophyll, which is able to absorb wavelengths from the 680 range. Once these electrons from photons hit the photosystem, it is able to excite the electrons that are currently existing within the chlorophyll, and it's able to travel first through the electron transport chain, which takes it across this marvelous journey until it gets to photosystem 1. In photosystem 1, there contains P700, which is another chlorophyll molecule which absorbs wavelengths of 700. Here, once again, electrons trade off to an extent where electrons continue across the chain to reach NADP to create NADPH, while the existing electrons before replace the excited electrons that decided to move on. Other things that occur within the light-dependent reaction is photolysis. This is when H2O, or water, is split into 2 protons and one oxygen atom. These oxygen atoms accumulate and create oxygen gas, which is a product of photosynthesis. The other 2 protons go across the proton gradient, which is created by a coupled reaction when electrons pass through the electron transport chain. Once these protons are able to pass into the thylakoid lumen, it goes back up to the chloroplast stroma through ATP synthase, where it is able to use that energy to combine ADP and a phosphate to create ATP. Other aspects of light-dependent reaction include cyclic and non-cyclic phosphorylation. This is non-cyclic phosphorylation, while the point of cyclic phosphorylation is to create ATP. ATP is needed more within a plant cell than NADPH, so this cycle is taken or is undergone to create this needed ATP for the Calvin cycle to occur. This is the light-independent reaction. RUBP is a 5-carbon molecule, and rubisco is the enzyme that combines RUBP with the CO2 to make a 6-carbon molecule. The 6-carbon molecule is weak and breaks into 2 3-carbon molecules. One 3-carbon molecule is made into G3P, and the other is regenerated to help remake RUBP, and the cycle happens twice to make 1 glucose molecule. And welcome to photorespiration. Photorespiration was never a problem earlier because oxygen was not available in the atmosphere. Basically, rubisco can combine with both carbon dioxide and oxygen. When carbon dioxide is high in concentration in the atmosphere, there's no problem because rubisco will combine with carbon dioxide and create glucose. But if oxygen is in the atmosphere, rubisco will combine with oxygen, and this will result in a molecule that is completely useless. Basically, photorespiration is a complete waste of energy because it results in a useless molecule. Has photorespiration ever messed up your day? Well, we have some solutions, such as cam plants. These include pineapples, and they're usually found in dry and arid climates. Due to transpiration from the stomata in intense heat, they want to prevent water loss by absorbing in CO2 at night, and during daylight they have their regular cycles to create everything they need to survive.
Another adaptation to photorespiration is the C4 plant. In C4 plants, carbon dioxide is taken into the mesophyll cells and incorporated into oxaloacetate, which is a 4-carbon molecule. NADPH's energy is then used and malate is created. Malate is transported into the bundle sheet cells, which are farther into a plant. And the reason they're transported into the bundle sheet cells is because bundle sheet cells have a lot lower concentration of oxygen. Rubisco and PEP carboxylase, which are enzymes that fix carbon, have a higher efficiency in fixing carbon rather than oxygen, and being able to use the Calvin cycle by having this Calvin cycle occur in the bundle sheet cells. The malate is then made into pyruvate, and this is transported back to the beginning into the mesophyll cells, and this cycle occurs once again. This is important because this is another adaptation to photorespiration, and this occurs in dry and arid climates. An example of a C4 plant is corn.
Now, wasn't that moolicious?
This is the chloroplast. Photorespiration. Photorespiration was not a problem. Is not it.
Photosynthesis. Photosynthesis.
If you want to know how a plant grows, it takes water, air and sunlight and makes cellulose. Every plant can do this fundamental process, and we can call this photosynthesis. Unlike me and you, plants need CO2.